everything it is just God around me. It just is. And she said, well, how would I know? I said, okay, and I gave you the same analogy. It's like holding a newborn baby in your arms in the middle of the night. There's nobody else around. And it's just so beautiful. The smell, just this little creature that you created is just so incredible. And you have so much love. I said, that's what God is, but so much more.
Sometimes labeled an empath, psychic, or medium, my guest today, Eileen Daley, was born with the gift of clairvoyance, which is a word that I personally had to Google to make sure I understood the correct definition. But more importantly, we chatted deeply on how she helps others by bridging the gap between heaven and earth. Eileen explains exactly what this means as she shares some incredible stories and explanations on her abilities to connect with the other side and how she's been able to help those understand death. Just wait till she mentions what happens in the St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City just months after September 11th, because I kind of calmly lost my shit with that powerful story. So thanks again for tuning into Dead Talks, and hope you enjoy another episode.
The Irish Blarney, yes.
Irish Blarney? Is that what
Yes.
What does Irish Blarney mean exactly?
It's the gift of gab, the blabble, the being able to talk freely, to just kind of more or less improvise, but not.
Okay. Does that have anything?
Tell a wonderful story, embellish.
Okay.
My dad can do that phenomenally. I mean, every joke he tells, even if it's the same joke, because you want to see his mannerisms and how he says it, it's always different, but it's the same joke.
As long as it's fun.
Justin Blarney.
We're on Dead Talks learning about the Irish Blarney, so I like that. So Eileen, thank you again for being here. I think it's an important start for people that are listening to hear, from the Blarney's mouth exactly what you do and a little bit about yourself. And then next question after that, I don't want to pound you with questions off the bat. Curious as to why the hell you wanted to be on Dead Talks, but let's start with, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and start there.
I was born with the gift of being clairvoyant. And it has come to me in different ways. When I was little, I had sleep paralysis and I didn't realize what it was. And it was very scary. And there were other things that happened. Like when I was around 5, I saw an angel in my room and she was at the dresser. And there were a lot of us kids all the time anyway. I'm number 2 of 8 kids. So I think at the time there were 4 kids in the house. And it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. One bedroom was my parents. The other bedroom was like multi-sleep, multi-kid room. And then the 3rd bedroom was the baby's room because my mom would have to get up in the middle of the night, feed the baby, that whole thing. So it was my sister Therese, Maureen, and I were in the same bedroom. And we had the same dresser for decades. So I remember vividly, I saw, I'm going to say her, it's really just energy, but I saw her and she went like this, like not to wake everybody up. And I went, oh, okay. And then that was it. That's all I remember. I do remember telling my parents, I told my aunts, and they're like, really? Okay, interesting. And as time went on, I know I've had clairaudience, which is being able to hear. I've been able to see some of the stuff I block because I don't want to see it. And I have a strong sense of just knowing. So that's where my mediumship comes in. I call myself a spiritual life and death consultant or a coach because the 10 years that my husband and I were managers in senior retirement communities, I was dealing with the residents that were passing over. And I was able to see on the other side what was going on and able to help the family deal with the physical changes. So I would explain both sides as to what was going on. So, that has become very strong. I have recently come to hear the word death doula. So I guess you can kind of categorize me as it is in birthing, you've got a birth doula. As it in the dying process, you've got a death doula. So that's kind of what I am. And I'm like Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium. I stop people and tell them what's going on. I've made people cry. My husband hates it because in airports and grocery stores, just various places, my guides nag me to tell people stuff. I mean, I can't just say, okay, fine, thank you very much, and keep walking. No. You've got to go tell them. You've got to go tell them. It's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? So I have learned through the years, many years, that I need to tell them. Because if I don't, they're going to bug me. And so that's who I am, and that's what I do.
Oh my goodness. There's a lot of information packed in there at once. So I'm trying to organize my questions right now. So, I mean, I might be going in reverse order, but we'll cherry pick here. So what I want to ask you is, when you, as a death doula, I guess, correct me if I'm not saying this properly, but you're assisting people that have lost someone get through the process, more or less,
or going through the process,
or like someone's dying, or
they're, I'm going to say dying, because that can be months, weeks, days, hours, right there in it, that they're going through the process. So, and I'm getting truth bumps on that right now. So one gal, her name Betty, I called her Betty Boop. She wanted to ask me about her colon cancer and what was going on and what it was going to be like. So I was given information so I could explain to her on the physical side what was going to transpire, because that takes away the scary part for her. And so I said, okay, Betty, I'm going to be there with you. I'll go to the hospital with you. I'll be there with you if you want me to. If you don't, just say, no, Eileen, it's okay. Because someone going through the process, it isn't pretty like it is on TV. There's the body's fight and flight mode, and it's not always pretty. Let's just say that. So I explained to her what the physical process was, and I was able to see a couple of people that had passed on in her life who were going to be there to greet her. So in explaining that, it took her anxiety way down, and it helped her relax and focus in, almost like Lamaze, focus in on what's going to be on the other side to make the transition much easier. So that's what I help. Also, in an advanced stage of dying, they can hear, but they may not appear to be awake. Okay. So I explained to the family members, I'm seeing the tongue is starting to turn gray, blue, a weird color. Their toes, their extremities are going to look muted. They're going to be muddled on their chest, like blotchy on their chest, because all the blood in the body is going to go to the brain and the heart to keep that going. That's the body transformation. So I try to explain to them what I'm seeing on the other side, where their loved one is at during the transition, as well as the physical. Because I've been there not knowing, oh my gosh, the book says this. Right. Where are they? So I try and calm everybody down and help them experience a very blessed moment, because it's very holy at that time.
So you have the ability to, you can see, feel, and hear with the other side, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. So those people that have passed are at that stage, and then you're talking to people that are currently living, potentially dying. Is there a gap there? Because you could see where these people are that already have died, and then dealing with someone who's already here. So then there's the transition. So when you're helping these people kind of cope with this process, do you know what the logistics are, like during that transition, what happens? Or is it kind of like you walk through a door and then it's kind of a black area and then you're dead, if that makes sense. Because if you're helping them with their transition, is there like, there's got to be an experience in the actual transition. Does that make sense?
Yes. If you think of it, I'm going to use the Hollywood version, okay? If you think of someone going through a fog, okay, you can see the outline of them as they're moving deeper and deeper into the fog. So going through that fog, I can sometimes feel the presence or see the presence of the loved ones coming to marry up with them to bring them further into the other side.
You've seen this?
Yeah.
And you feel that?
Yeah.
What does it feel like?
It's just a knowing and very peaceful, very beautiful. Do you have any kids?
No.
Okay. Have you ever felt like a sleeping baby in your arms or a puppy that's just fallen asleep on you? And it's just so quiet, peaceful, so amazing.
Yeah.
Then that's the only thing I can compare it to on this side. It's like you're so full of this amazing grace, this amazing love. It's hard to explain to someone else what it feels like. But that's what it feels like, but so much more.
So I brought this up on a prior podcast, and I don't know how familiar you are with it, but how you're explaining it is exactly how I've explained the experience that I've had. I haven't had a near-death experience, but I've tried dimethyltryptamine, DMT, back, and I guess people have called it, I don't know if I'm butchering this, but like the dying drug. I don't want to call it a drug. And they say that because a lot of the experiences that people explain through taking DMT, whether you agree with it or not, it's fine, is it's been compared to dying. And it's horrifying, it sounds scary, but when I experienced it myself, there was a moment when I got to like the pinnacle of it, more or less, where that's all. It wasn't it was kind of, I guess I described it as kind of smoky and it was just white. But I was in this place as if it was like you said, a knowingness, and it wasn't and I couldn't pinpoint what I knew. It wasn't like, oh, I know this, that, and the other, like precisely. It was just, I felt as if all my questions were answered. I felt as if everything was going to be okay. And it was just a calming utopia of relief, yet satisfaction that it's going to be okay, but it is so okay at the same time. So it really made me think of that experience to me, because and at the same time, when I try to tell people this, I can't, that's the best I can explain it. Experience it yourself. So I'm not claiming that I've transitioned in a metaphorical sense or in a hallucination sense. I don't know what the hell happened, but all I know is it felt real enough, and it felt exactly as if the way you just explained it.
Okay, so taking that same thought process, that's what drugs do. That's what alcohol does. They call alcohol spirits for a reason.
Right.
Because it takes you out of the physical in your mind and takes you to a different level. It relieves all of that external garbage and puts it aside. And that's why it's also dangerous, because you are allowing yourself to be extremely vulnerable on the spiritual side, to where psychosis, bipolar, schizophrenia, any other type of opening up on your spirit level, you're giving permission for you to be transformed, taken, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So you were there.
Yeah, I felt it.
It was drug induced, but you were there.
Yeah. That's what it felt like. Exactly how you explained it. That's why I'm bringing it up. And I think I wonder if there's a fine line. This is like a scientific question. I don't know, but you're saying how it can be dangerous, if you get too induced with whatever substance you're putting into your body. I think, there's a yin and yang to that. Sometimes it could be creative or helpful, but if you go too much, then I've seen the worst.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like relieving a filter or what's really out there in some sense. And what's really out there is so grand and so incomprehensible that when it does hit us, maybe it causes those ill effects. I don't know. This is from an average Joe who sell houses trying to understand this. So,
okay, but you bring up a good point, because I'm going to have to tell you the story of another resident, because I've got 20 billion and one stories. Janice was dying of lung cancer, and I had moved up to Antioch, which is Northern California, for about a year. And like I said, the positions we were in, we lived there on site with the residents. So we were, going on emergency calls to take care of them, calling the paramedics, going through a lot of emergency situations, also serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner with them. We were their family. They were our extended family. So Janice had lung cancer. I had never met her before, because her lung cancer had advanced to where she said she coughed all the time, and it was embarrassing. So one day I had the privilege of bringing her lunch to her, introduced myself, said, "Oh my gosh, I heard so much about you, blah, blah, blah." And then she explained the process of lung cancer for her. And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll say a prayer for you." And she went, "Well, I don't believe in God." I said, "Oh, are you agnostic or an atheist?" And she went, "What? I don't know the difference." And I said, "Well, they can't put God into a formula, therefore it can't exist. It's a scientific type of compartmentalizing, boxing it in. An atheist is someone who usually when they're very young have had such a traumatic spiritual experience that if there was a God, God would not let this happen. So they shut the door, period. And that's the difference between the two." And she said, "Oh, well, I have a PhD." And I said, "Okay, you're a brainiac." Okay. She said, "Well, how do you know?" Well, I said, "I feel, I see, I sense, everything it is just God around me. It just is." And she said, "Well, how would I know?" I said, "Okay, and I gave you the same analogy. It's like holding a newborn baby in your arms in the middle of the night. There's nobody else around. And it's just so beautiful. The smell, just this little creature that you created is just so incredible. And you have so much love." I said, "That's what God is, but so much more. We can't even fathom it because our brains are not allowed to." She said, "Oh, okay, I get it. I've had 5 kids." And I went, you know what's going on. You're pretty much almost there. I can tell. So the white light you see coming through, that's not a street light. That's not a light in your room." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Like you do in Lamaze, focus in on something else because your body's going to go into fight or flight." I said, "That's going to be the struggle. Please take the morphine." I said, I've had people that say, "Well, I don't want to get addicted." You're freaking dying, okay? It doesn't matter if you're going to be addicted or not, okay? You're not going to make it long enough to be an addict. So take the morphine because that'll calm the fight or flight down. That'll help you focus in on that white light coming through, and it'll make your transition so much easier. She said, "Okay, I will. I said, "God bless you. I will say a prayer for you. And it's been my pleasure to meet you." So fast forward, Paul and I were moving back down to Southern California, thank God. And the same day we were moving out was the same day she was moving out to her daughters because the time was getting very close. So I tried all day to get over there to say goodbye to her. And as I was going around the corner to my apartment, I saw her daughter's car, and there was a hallway on one side where there was a window door, and then another one. Well, I saw her down the one on the left, and I swung around the other hallway, and I was just in time to see her drive by. And I'm like, "Bye, Janice." And she yelled out, "I'm going to remember." And I went, "Oh, thank you." So she has passed on, and it just made it easier. I don't know how to explain it. It's one of those things.
So how often is this something that you only do for your clients, or is this something that connecting to the other side? Is that like how much of it is involved in your personal life?
I'm always connected to the other side.
Like
I got stuff coming in all the time. It's like, I'm an airhead. My license plate is airhead. I have a convertible. So, hey, what can I say? So, it's like I'm always connected. They're always feeding me information. So, like I said, when I go into an airport, oh my gosh. When I went to St. Patrick's Cathedral right after 9/11, I went in January. I almost got swallowed up because they all knew that I knew what happened. And that's the point where I have to be very grounded, very protected, or I'm not going to make it.
What do you mean they knew what happened? Who knew?
There were thousands of souls that didn't know what happened on 9/11. Have you ever seen the movie Ghost?
Yeah, Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze.
Yeah. Okay. And they're all walking around not knowing what's going on. They don't realize that they're gone. That's what it was like. And they saw me where I knew what was going on. That's why I was there to help explain it. But I didn't realize the magnitude of how many souls were there that needed understanding, that needed answers. Explain to the other side that they were caught in the middle. Okay, they weren't on heaven and they weren't on earth. They were caught in the middle because their lives had been taken before it was time for them to go. That's why murder is a sin, because we all have free wills. But when someone takes your free will away from you, takes your life away from you, there's that, what's going on? Why am I here? I know I'm not there because people aren't talking to me. They say I'm dead, but where am I? So there were so many that didn't understand where they were. They didn't understand what happened on 9/11. So fortunately, a friend of mine pulled me out of the church because I would have not survived physically. It would have been too much of an overload for my system. I would have gone over, So I was taken out of the cathedral, and I got very sick, because that's what happens to me when I have an extreme reading. I can only do like 3 a day because I'm pulling in very strong energy. So for about 2 months, I was really sick. And then I gradually got healthier. And I went to Barnes & Noble because one of my kids needed a book report done, whatever. And I was told by my guides to go check out this table. Well, on the table was the sale books. And one of them was 9/11. And it was spelled at NINEALEVEN. And I went, well, this is odd. And you could barely see the writing on the jacket, the book jacket. So I picked it up, a little tiny book. I picked it up and went, oh, okay, you guys want me to get it? Okay, I'll get it. So I got it, brought it home. They said, now open it up. Opened it up. Nope, just randomly. They said, put it on your coffee table. So I did. They said, leave it there. Okay. So I left it there. I even forgot about it. And it must have been 4 to 6 months. I can't remember exactly the time frame. And then my guide said, thank you very much. You can close it up now. And I'm like, what is this all about? So they said the souls needed to see what happened. By me getting the book and opening it up, they figured it out. They were able to pass over. So that's what happens when you can call it purgatory, you can call it any other word that you want. It's just that in between, when you haven't fulfilled your commitment to life here on earth, when it is taken from you. Now, not everybody gets stuck, but that was such a huge magnitude that's what I saw. That's what was going on. Does that help?
Yeah, I mean, this one hits so many questions. Specifically because, I mean, I told you about my dad.
Yeah.
It's obviously clearly why this hits home, dying on 9/11. So I wonder if he was one of those people. First,
Yeah.
My first thought was, why didn't they just walk down the street and look at the tower and like walk around New York? I thought they'd figure out what happened at 9/11 without reading a book, but that's another stupid comment. So the first thought is, you're saying a lot, they don't know what's happening, and some do, and some stay, and some go. What is the difference between, first of all, actually, let me take a step back, beep, beep, beep. These people when you walked into the cathedral, or is just once again, this is just a knowingness and a feeling?
It was, first of all, when I walked into the cathedral, it's almost like I felt claustrophobic because all the energy just immediately surrounded me to where, I don't know how to explain it on this side. Have you ever been, go ahead.
You to ask you questions, like, are they all gravitating towards you looking for answers?
Yes, because I had the knowing. They knew I knew.
And they're asking that, and you literally feel as if they're asking you questions. What the hell happened?
Yeah. Why are we here? How come? What happened? Because we're in time. We have man-made time, okay? Because time is man-made and souls are in infinity. To them, it was like it happened seconds ago. But for us, 9/11 and me going in January was months away. Okay? But not for them. So me showing up and knowing the answers that they were seeking, I was just like swarmed.
Jeez.
Because they knew I knew.
So then why are some getting stuck and some aren't?
What I'm sensing, not what I'm told, is that they're more enlightened. They're more, I don't want to say in tune with their spiritual side. And it could be that from the other side, they were grabbed and pulled over, is what I'm sensing.
They're more prepared?
Sorry?
Like they were more prepared?
Yes. Yes.
I wonder if that's what Dead Talks is doing, because the whole part of this conversation is to make people more comfortable. Not make people, I'm not saying, hey, grab them by the neck, discuss death. But at the same time, I think it's important for people to be comfortable with the idea of death.
For some reason, there's a taboo-ness about it, about talking about death. It's like there's a taboo about talking about serious illness. Oh, you don't want to talk about why? How come?
Yeah. It's just, Bill, it's like the collective consciousness is just burned that way. For whatever. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, but that's what the mold I'm trying to break.
And I appreciate that tremendously.
I appreciate you talking about it. So I want to ask you personally, clearly you're helping other people kind of understand the transition, and what piece have you found? Are you just, like, in layman's terms, just like, oh, people are over there and they're okay? Like, what's everyone doing when you're not talking? Like, what are they doing over there?
Okay, so there's a saying, as it is above, it is below. As it's above, it is below. So they've got tasks to do. They've got certain levels that they need to get to. Being human on a spiritual level is very difficult. It's almost like instead of being in grade school, you're going for a very rapid quarterly system in college. So instead of, going along, it's like you're going from here to here. And it's very difficult to be a human because we've got all of the senses that can tempt us and keep us back. And our goal is to get back with God. And when you pass over, we all have our day, our time. It's not really a day, but you've got your life review. How did you do down there? And you're sitting in front of purity, holiness, this exponential amount of love. So you're the little kid that's going to tell on yourself. You're going to say, oh, you know what I did? I screwed up and blah, 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 because you don't want to keep anything back. You're the one that's going to judge you. So when you get to that point, you're going to say, okay, well, do you want to go back and fix some stuff? Or you want to stay up here, which is a slower amount of time to get to sit back next to God, to get to the level of pure holiness, because we are made of God. We are one. But how to explain on the human side? But because God gave us free will, we have the choice to screw up or not. Okay, so there are certain things that you're allowed to do on the other side to bring you up to the level that you need to be.
And what if you screwed up?
Then you get a choice to fix it, make a new contract with God to say, okay, I'll come back down, or I'll fix it with helping a human down there from over here.
Okay, so you're not talking about reincarnation. You're talking about staying where they are, but helping people spiritually, like as
my guides are helping me explain things. So by them helping me, it gets them closer to move up on the chain.
How are they communicating with you? Is that like they're just speaking to you, or is the saying how are they talking to you?
It was a knowingness, and I did get some that were speaking to me. They wanted me to tell their loved ones, blah, blah, blah.
In your sleep or conscious? You're just like, all of a sudden someone taps you on your shoulder?
Both.
Sheesh. Were you raised religious, if you don't mind me asking? Like,
yeah. I was raised Catholic.
And what are the people, your immediate circle, when you did when they learned more about your abilities, was there any people that, rejected it, or was
Oh yeah. Yeah, quite a few. I didn't come out of the closet spiritually until recently.
Really, the spiritual closet it's got to be very difficult, I take it, right?
Yeah, I mean, because you're making yourself vulnerable. You're being judged, which is the one thing. It's like I try and not judge, because I want God to do the judging and not me. Because I've got this much of a brain and He's got so much more. So it's spooky to people. My husband even calls me spooky. When I started to talk to him about it, he's very analytical. I call him analytical because he's very engineer brain. And I told him, look, we're twin souls. As it is above, it is below. We're twin souls. We're from one soul that's split off. You're the analytical, I'm the spiritual. So I'm back in your life to bring that spiritual part so that you'll understand, you'll be complete. So we dated in college, went our separate ways for 20 some years, and then got back together, which is a whole Lifetime movie kind of thing. But and then we got back together and then got married. So through the process, he's the one that calls me spooky. Whatever, okay, I am. To him, I am. And I remember telling him some stuff that just blew him away, because his dad had passed over in, I think it was 2001. And I had never met him. I think 2007, 2008, we were talking about something. I went, okay, your dad's here? And he's like, what? I said, yeah, I don't understand what he's saying, but he said to tell you this. And it was some little phrase that he said that I would not know. And he went, how do you know that? I said, because your dad's here. I told you your dad's here. And we were married. We lived together. He knows that I'm spooky and the whole thing. But when his dad came, it just freaked him out.
Yeah. It's those moments. It's those examples like that. I think that's like the light switch moment that kind of, makes those people realize.
Yeah.
I'm just me personally, I'm just really open-minded to it. I think it'd be, if I experienced it myself, I'd be even more of a believer, but I'm a believer anyway. I'm whatever, sue me, I believe in it. But I've heard multiple stories like you just told me of your husband, like having that holy shit moment. What else are you supposed to be like that? Like, unless you're like the most thorough person ever and like research recordings and all this and that, like how would you know those things? So, so you're just completely are you like 100% at peace with death? The idea of you passing?
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's what freaked him out too. He said, well, I don't want to die. I said, I do. I said, what? You can't die. I said, we're all going to die. Hello. We're born to die. Being Catholic means you have gone through all of the classes and when you die, hello. So that freaked him out. He said, why do you want to die? I said, because one more day, one more moment down here is one more chance I had to screw up. Why would I want to take that chance? I said, hello. So, it's been a process with him. He gets it. He doesn't like some of the stuff that I say because I'm so comfortable with being dead. Because I'm already talking to him.
Take that because I could see how someone could take that as like, I don't want to say not suicidal because that's a very strong word, but I've met a lot of people that are very, very, very Catholic a lot of Catholic, that's what they believe. And it's like,
well, no, they don't.
No,
they don't believe. I mean,
ones I've met have.
Yeah, but they don't believe that I should be talking to spirit.
Oh, that's a different story. Yeah. I was talking about the comfort level of dying.
Yeah. But they still don't like to talk about it.
True. Yeah. What is that about?
I mean, when my aunt died, I was very, very upset because she lived next door with my grandmother. And Ani, just an amazing lady. Never had any kids of her own, but she took all of ours in, Anyway, so when she died, I was in Houston and flew back to California to attend the funeral. And Father Lorette was family. We knew Father Lorette for, I don't know, since I was in 4th or 5th grade. So I'm in my 20s and we're at the party afterwards because you got the funeral, you got the Irish party afterwards, you got to, So I'm talking to Father Lorette and I said, Father, why is it so difficult when our whole religion is based on you're born and then you're going to die? Why is it so difficult when someone goes that we struggle with that? He was so funny. He said, because you're mortal. And I went, that's it? You're not going to give me this big sermon, up on the altar. You're going to. He says, no, honey, no, sweetheart, you're mortal. And I'm like, no, that can't be just boom.
Yeah. Meaning you won't understand? Is that what you meant by that?
Yeah, we're mortal.
We don't know till we know. And people just, at the end of the day, it's scary of for the most part, a lot of people fear what we don't know. That's it. So
that's it.
And that's why
you can't control the process of you dying.
No.
The day and time and second is going to be the day you're going to die. That's why I don't want to say at peace with this pandemic stuff, but I'm not freaked out. I have already had a meltdown. I've already had to reinvent myself from the mortgage meltdown. Right. I mean, I had a business for 12 years, been in the mortgage industry for 30 years, and all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're out of business. I have 200 loans sitting there not funding. I had to figure out, what am I going to do? I'm almost 50, and I'm like, holy smokes, went through all my savings, all our retirement, and had to reinvent myself. So this time around, I'm like, I got this. I've already had to do this thing. So, people don't understand that the COVID thing, the amount of people that are dying, yes, that's horrendous because of the number. But God has all of us stopping in our tracks to say, what are you doing with the lives I'm giving you? You're into the social media, you're into, stuff instead of each other.
Huh.
So this has had a huge impact on the spiritual side because those that passed over are like, okay, guys, it's so cool over here, but you can't screw it up while you're there. There's a huge bomb that has gone. And we're blessed because they've taken on that task to pass when they passed.
Huh. So you're saying we've kind of alluded to this earlier about if you messed up, quote unquote. So what's your belief in, like you said, if you do mess up? I know you mentioned already that you can correct it somehow, coming back and helping someone. But do you believe in down below, the big red man? Is that something that experience?
I do believe in it because you have the yin and the yang. You got the positive and the negative. Okay. I was up at Antioch And I don't want to even approach the negative side, is what I call it, because up at Antioch, I was getting ready to go to sleep, and I had this negative feeling that once I go to sleep, I'm not coming back. So I said, Paul, do me a favor. He said, what? And I said, would you just hold my hand while we sleep or have some kind of physical contact with me? And he went, what's going on? And I said, I just have this feeling that when I go to sleep, I'm not coming back. And I knew it wasn't my time. So he, poor guy, I know he didn't sleep all night because he was like stuck to me like glue. But I do know it's real because what I had up there. And it's very scary. And I know people that say, oh, I don't believe in the devil. I don't believe in hell, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, well, you need to think about the negativity then. I don't care what label you call it, but there is definitely evil that is out to get you. I have had that try and pull me away from what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is helping people get to God. And I've had a couple of instances where I've been taken off my path for a reason. I'm like, wait a minute, what was that all about? Make me doubt what I do, what I feel, what the gift that God has given me. That's why my website is Daily Gift, because it is a gift that God gave me. You know, so I'm not a fortune teller. That's against the rules. You know, I'm not a psychic. The difference between a psychic and a medium is psychics tell the future, I guess. Mediums are psychics, but they also talk to dead people. They talk to spirit. That's the difference. So, yeah, I do believe that. I do.
Terrifying and powerful at the same time.
Yeah.
You said somewhere in there when you had that experience that, you know, you knew it wasn't your time. So do you, I'm assuming that, I don't want to assume, but it seems like that was just a knowingness as well.
Mm-hmm.
You believe there's going to be a knowingness when you know it's your time at the same time?
Yeah.
Not in a psychic manner, or maybe in a psychic manner. I don't know. Do you think since you have this gift, that's something that's going to come along your path?
I just have a knowing that, I mean, I was in a very bad car accident, 2 of them. The first one when I was 18, I was hit by a Mack truck when I was driving. So I don't remember a lot about that, but I should have died. From everybody telling me stuff, I should have died. So the reason why I'm here is the answer I got on First Communion Day. I remember walking down the sidewalk saying, okay, God, why am I here? And he said, to get as much love as you can and to spread as much love as you can before you come back. Okay, fine. I mean, that's a second grade version, but there's a lot of truth that is said to kids because they're so innocent that they have been corrupted by unlearning what we're supposed to know.
Right.
I remember that.
Well, so, I have heard of it, especially as when you mentioned kids. I think from 0 to 7, people they're the most vulnerable in a state of hypnosis, where there's kind of like a veil that's lifted and they're more vulnerable, susceptible to that other side. I don't know if the Catholic Church has said it. You give me a kid from age 0 to 7, and I'll make him a man of God or something like that. But I think the insinuation there was that they're just so teachable and they're so pure that their brains. That's the reason why the brains are like sponges. So you hear a lot of stories of kids. You know, I don't want to call them ghosts, whatever you want to call them, or connecting with the other side. And it sounds so crazy, but a lot of kids kind of have that experience, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, I saw the angel when I was 5.
Exactly.
You're still connected. You're still in that holy, blessed, I want to say, decade, but same time period.
Right.
You're not corrupted. You're still the eyes of a child, you know, which is one of the Beatitudes. So, you know, there is something to be said about listening to kids. Oh yeah, Mom, they were around. They were saying, oh, okay, cool. I mean, they don't know the difference between, on the other side or here.
Exactly.
They don't have that veil in between. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Adults, we have that concrete brain that we've experienced everything. We think we know everything. And if we're like, whatever, I don't believe it.
The walls are being built.
Walls have been built, but they can be broken down and rebuilt. I still believe it's harder.
Yeah.
This is such a lot of stories here, a lot of information here, but maybe one more thing to wrap it up. I don't want to, ask for free information for something you do for a living.
Hey, do it.
For people that, I feel like if the way I'm seeing it, once again, correct me if I'm wrong. If there's a client of yours or someone who's having trouble with death that doesn't per se, I think you've actually given an example of someone who was, didn't know if she was atheist or not. How do you guide people that have trouble believing, in your gifts? Like, what is the most layman version of how you would kind of help someone get through the dying process? Someone who's actually grieving someone else's death. You have a 1-2 of, the best method for people to get through that grieving process.
Own your grief. Grief isn't going to be for X number of days or months. My mom died in 2006. My sister died in 2015. My girlfriend called me in 2007, and her mom had just died. And she said, oh my gosh, how many more days am I going to cry? How many more days am I going to feel like this? And I said, I hope you never get over it. And she said, what? And I said, because to me, in my feeble mind, the depth of grief is the depth of love you had for someone. And, it's like, it's raw. And sometimes you feel like, I can't handle this. But you do, because you got another day, another moment to be down here to spread the love to someone else. And I remember, going down the street and say, oh, I want to call Mom. Hello? I'm like, what is that all about? Mom, why are you messing with me? And, she just said, well, I just wanted to let you know I'm around. I'm like, I know you're around. Stop messing with me. So it's those things that, it still affects me too, because I'm human. Right. To help someone go through the grieving process, just be there for them. Validate that there's a reason why they're still going through it. Validation is so huge to so many people for so many things. The judgmental stuff is what we have to get rid of. The what is it? The cancel culture, or I don't know what you call that thing.
I mean, cancel culture, I don't know how you're applying it, but that's a thing.
But that is the reverse. If someone is starting to talk about something you're not comfortable with, why aren't you comfortable with it? And the same as death and dying, and grieving. You're not comfortable with it because you're not comfortable about you being vulnerable or seeing them vulnerable. That's what we're all about as being a human.
I love that. I love it, especially when you said the depth of grieving is kind of the depth of your love, or vice versa, however you said it.
Yeah.
My sister brought up a quote like that, and it's so true. I mean, the more pain you feel, only a lot of the time indicates, the love you felt. So I think that's important. Eileen, amazing. Seriously, I think, I don't know if you want to give one more shout of, I mentioned, I have it written down, but you have a program called, it was Find Calm in Chaos. Is that what it was? Finding
Calm in Chaos. I created an online course. I've got some lists that your listeners can, take advantage of. I've got it on my website, Daily Gift, Daley, like the mayor. Yes, I'm related, but no, I don't know them. Okay. Gift like in present. So, because when this whole thing started, and I had COVID for 4 months, I was very sick. So I know what that's like. It's horrible. But people are getting all freaked out. And I created the course online so that people can go and do the inner searching to figure out why you're freaked out about this stuff. And I had one of my clients call me and say, why are you staying so effing calm? And I'm like, what? And she hung up on me. And I'm like, what was that all about? So she called me back the next day. She apologized and said, you need to create a course because people need your help. What are you talking about? So I did. And I've got videos, I've got worksheets, I've got little, hey, what's this all about? You know, to help people. Because if you're getting rattled by the pandemic, why? What's rattling you? That you're in control? That you have to be forced to sit in a house or wear a mask or do this, that, and the other? What's that all about? You need to find your inner peace. Because it doesn't matter where you are, what you can or can't do. You're creating your own little prison. You're creating your own little timeout. Why? There's so much that you can look forward to, look around, and take advantage of. We've all organized everything in our houses by now. I mean, I'm doing another knocking down walls and stuff, which my husband's ready to kill me. But anyway, so there's so much creativity that has come out of this. Let's use it. But that's what I've got. Finding calm and chaos. To answer your question.
Beautiful. I love how you ask why, because I think a lot of people spend a lot of time on the problem as opposed to the cause and the root and the solution. So I think finding those triggers and asking that question why is really important. So I'll plug you in earlier in the episode as well. I mentioned this. Maybe I think even finding calm and chaos might be the name of this episode. So I think that's great. Eileen, thank you so much for doing this. You're well spoken. Your stories are great. I love your.
Oh, honey, thank you. Thank you. I got the gift of Blarney.
The gift. I mean, that's the name of the episode, to be honest. But I really want to thank you again. I would love to stay in touch and keep what's going on, and maybe check out your program as well.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Talk about the dead with me, okay?
I will. Let's stay in touch, Eileen. Thank you so much.
Sweet. Thank you.